Okay, very good. Let me go ahead and minimize this and okay, very good. Okay, so now, now I want to concentrate on 19 semi-prime. Okay, we've talked about this before. Now you'll see through this methodology that I'm going to present here, how these numbers are coinciding with one another. Okay, so the 55 is the 19 semi-prime. Okay, and so I put the references where I find these things, and you can find them here. We've also have it on our website, okay, so you can find semi-prime, what the 19 semi-prime is on the table that I have there. But anyway, so but these are also the references I use aside from what I have myself, okay? So this is the prime numbers info. That's one website. Then the other one, an online encyclopedia of integer sequences, OEIS.org. Okay, that's another thing. So you can find them there. They're there. So now let's see what happens if we concatenate these two. 5519's composite is 6346. Okay. So now let me just stress on this fact. Note from the above mathematical fact, 5519 by being the virtue by the virtue of being the index of the composite 6346 generates the total number of verses in the Quran, including the 112 unnumbered Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay? So you see, from the simple fact that the 19th semi-prime is 55, we generated the true number of verses in the Quran. Okay? All of the verses, including the 112 unnumbered Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay? Now let's go down and we find out that, now I put numbers here instead of bullets, okay, because this is all these are new finding. Okay, 5519th additive prime is 144167. 144167 happens to be an Emirp, means that if you write it backwards, it's also a prime number. Okay? And it happens to be the 2810th Emirp. But 2810th happens to be the total frequency of the word God, including the ones in the 112 unnumbered opening statements. So you see how the number of verses, total number of verses, including the unnumbered ones, coincide with the number of word Allah or God, okay, in all of the Quran, including the ones in the 112 unnumbered ones. Okay, so now let's see if it happens more than once in mathematics. Okay, well, 5519th lonely prime is 75577. 2810th harmonic prime is also 75577. So you see, they line up, they have the same prime in two different domains. One is the domain of the lonely primes, which has an index of 5519, which generates the total number of the verses, including the unnumbered Bismillahs. Okay? And the second, which is harmonic prime, domain of harmonic prime, it goes to 2810. Again, these two are lining up. Okay? That the total number of verses with the total number of word God. So again, I said here, okay, that 2010 is the total frequency of the word God, including the ones in the 112 unnumbered opening statements. So let's see now what happens. 2810, 10th lucky prime happens to be 256567, but 256567 happens to be the 21st additive prime, and we know that chapter 9 has 127 verses. So you see, the total number of the word Allah in the Quran, including the ones in unnumbered Bismillah, are related to this fact that 9 has 127 verses. And that's why it becomes 6346, not 6348. Can you imagine this? So these from 1 through 10, okay? You have to ask these questions of yourself. Okay, why? Okay? Again, by the virtue of being the index of 6346, 5519, this I said note this one this time in red, exclamation mark, okay? Again, by the virtue of being the index of 6346, 5519 is signifying that the total number of verses, including the unnumbered Bismillahs, okay, is 6346. Naturally, it's a natural consequence, a mathematical natural consequence of that. 2810 is the total frequency of the word God, including the ones in the 112 unnumbered opening statements. And 2810, as I said, confirms 9127. Okay. I mean, I just cannot imagine this. I cannot imagine the significance of this. You see, now when this goes in there, in this system, when we read the Quran, and the Quran says all of these things, okay, they just found out that this sperm whale, actually they talk to each other. Really? Okay. The scripture has been saying it for thousands of years. Okay? Everybody laughed. The Hoopoe says about the Queen of Sheba, okay, that they are idol worshippers. And she talks to Solomon, and Solomon can understand him. But if you don't understand the Hoopoe, that's your problem. Solomon was blessed by God to understand the language of the birds, and that's what a verse in the Quran says. We've been taught the language of the birds. That's what Solomon says. The ants are saying, okay, says, let's get out of the way because Solomon and his troops are coming and they're going to trample us to death. Okay, so the ant knows that this guy is Solomon. Okay. Laugh, snickers here and this and that, the other, all kinds of things to reject the scripture. And then somebody gives some people money to go and find out, oh yeah, these whales, they are following the lead whale and they are doing it democratically, which way to go and which way not to go, and they talk to each other and this and that, the others, okay? Duh. Okay? So why don't you laugh at that? Only the scripture is supposed to be laughed at? Because God says so? Okay? They don't have any clue. What we have found out here, by God's grace, that all of these are part of a collective consciousness. Okay? God says your skin will talk. Okay? That's part of the collective consciousness. You didn't think that your skin can talk. But we understand that. According to what we have learned from the Quran, we can understand that. And we are light years ahead of this other communities who do not understand it, and they've got stuck to the ground with the knowledge of a long time ago when the universe was much smaller. It was a different universe. It wasn't the time yet. It's time now. And by God's grace, we are the recipient of this huge blessing that we've seen today. And as I said, these are these picture windows, beautiful picture windows to heaven that God is showing us every week. Okay? So I'm going to stop here and we'll finish our Jummah. Allahu Kabir.